I have made many, many, many mistakes in my life. And it's why I sit here and say how much integrity means to me. It's not worth it doing it any other way. It's just not. It is not worth undermining people. It is not worth manipulating people. It all ends bad. Our mission is to improve human lives. And you would think, well, it's a medical practice. Duh. I've known a lot of physicians, a lot of hospital administrators, a lot of insurance administrators, and I've come to believe that their mission is to optimize profits. I had a situation once. I'm going to give you two situations. One situation was a primary referring physician. I mean, number one, number two, month to month. He was always one or number two. And he called me and he said he'd like me to write off $125 to a patient account, one of his patients. And I said, sure, I'll do you a favor. If the government watches this, I'm in trouble, but because I'm not supposed to do that. But he asked, it's $125. Okay. So I tell billing, I'd like you to write this off. And they go, oh, don't do that. This is the worst person. She has been awful on the phone. She's rude. She's terrible. Don't do it. And we can't write it off because we sent it to collections. Okay, so I called our collections attorney. I said, I'd like you to write this balance off for this patient. He says, oh God, Richard, don't do that. She is the worst person. She's been abusive to my staff. She's horrible. And we're talking $125. And because it's in collections, that means she's had many, many bills. She's thinking she can ask her friend, this doctor, to call me and she won't have to pay the money. So I made the decision. This is not right. This person has abused everyone. She's not a good person. So I didn't write it off. The physician stopped referring. Now, at that point, a referral was $1,000. That you can net about $1,000 on a patient net. Okay. He's sending 20, 25 patients a month. And he stopped referring for years. Want to add that one up? But I did it because I have integrity, and it was the wrong thing to do, and that he shut off a referral stream to us told me a tremendous amount about what he thinks about his patients. So that's an example of trust and integrity in the medical field. So we had our practice in Manassas, and I had 2 therapists working there full-time, and I was down there part-time. And I had a physician, a surgeon, who was a tremendous referral source for me out here in Middleburg and in the Jackson clinics. He was great. And he kept asking me, Richard, why don't you work? I want to put physical therapy in this practice. I said, I'm glad to contract. I'm glad to supply physical therapy services. I'm not going to work for you. I'm not going to work for a physician. And this went on a couple of years. And one day, both of these therapists came and gave their 30-day notice. Now, you don't replace a therapist in 30 days. He hired him away. And one guy was gone. I couldn't talk to him. The other guy who I consider a friend. I said, you realize that the 2 front desk people are going to lose their job because I have to shut the doors. You 2 leave in 30 days, this practice is over. And he agreed to stay for 3 months and allowed us to hire. And then he went to work for this individual. But it is an example of someone who I thought was a friend, who blatantly, I did not have a non-compete at that point, hired my entire staff. He couldn't have me. He wanted Richard Jackson style physical therapy, and he couldn't have me, so he took the people that I trained. At that point, and from that point on, we have a strong non-compete because people who I know well try to hire my staff. I would never do something that literally screws somebody else. I would never do something to a friend and say, hey, business is business. That's a cop-out. We don't behave that way. That's not who we are. But it's why we have a pretty good and strong non-compete.